Welcome back to Make Way for Cat. I'm going to show you... What is her name? The priestess is ending. Audrey. I think her name's Audrey. So he just asked us to go to the pit. We are not going to go to the pit. But in order to get to this point, you have to give Audrey the fortnance on day 12. Otherwise, you're locked out of this. So we need to go to the Bleak Stones. 24. Yeah. It was near the ocean. As I approached the island in a small rowing boat, I noticed a shrouded figure standing watching me from the shore. Priest. Here she is. She is lit by flickering orange torchlight, which deepens the red of her cloak and makes her look taller and more threatening somehow. For a brief moment, the dim lighting and her dark eyeshadow make me think that she is one of them. The flame flickers across the whites of her eyes as I get closer, and the moment passes. You have the sacrament? I nod, and she helps steady the boat as I climb out. Together we walk slowly up the small beach in search of the Bleak Stones, a small ring made of slabs of gray slate, the largest of which, the King Stone, is only waist height. Not hard to find. Fear hits my gut as we get closer, and I see something I had not expected. Spread out around the perimeter of the stones are dozens of the priest's followers standing motionless, their heads bowed. The casket will be opened, and when it is, we alone shall be spared Holgar's wrath. Her followers let out a cheer that is more of a bloodthirsty roar. The priest gestures toward the 4 stone plinths arranged in a semicircle in the center of the ring of slate. Arrange the sacrament while I prepare. So the sacrament, for a reminder, is this. In spring, a charm of green growth, pendant of yellow sun, an instrument of red night, and a totem of blue fire. So we know that this is the sun. That will go in summer. In green growth, we have an object that encourages growth. In autumn, we red night, which is this knife weaving edge. Because it weaving edge used to enter the red night. Then the last one is messenger. Of blue fire. I guess that means it gets rid of pestilence. I don't know. Not you. Okay. Oh, blue night. That's why. As I have been preparing the sacrament, the priest has built a small pyre of tightly packed wood about waist height next to the largest of the stones. I hear a raucous cry, and then another and another. I join the congregation in looking up to see a swirling mass of black shapes. Ravens. The priest produces a mask from within her cloak and places it over her face. The imposing atmosphere builds in intensity, and I take a deep breath to calm my pulse. Let us begin. Yeah, we gave her that mask. As she says these words, the damp pyre erupts into flame. Whether by some trick or magic, I couldn't say, but the priest with her torch is some distance away. Her dark eyes sparkle behind the pale mask. Great Holgar, I bring you light and life. I bring you spring and summer, autumn and winter on this day of reckoning. A rhythmic chanting begins to sound across the circle. And now the casket. Her eyes lock with mine, and I feel suddenly weak under her gaze. She reaches out a hand expectantly. How does she know I have the casket? The chanting dies and is replaced by odd whispers as the acolytes catch on. I flounder, not knowing what to do, but I decide the only thing I can do is surrender to her power. I kneel and offer up the Nelean casket to the priest. I have waited a long time for this moment. She takes the casket from me and places it reverentially atop the kingstone. As she turns to face me, I feel a sudden chill down my spine. She's holding the weaving edge. Holgar, I give you this gift of life that is not mine to give. Cold fear grips me as I realize how naive I've been. She didn't bring me here to be saved by Holgar's protective embrace. She brought me as a sacrifice. She advances calmly toward me with the blade held at her side, pale mask wet with rain and shining in the light from the pyre. The chanting rises in volume and intensity. I must act quickly. So we can use... I'm going to use the Corvan's Might. I put that thing. Here it is. I brandish the Corvan's Might, hoping that the threat will be enough to deter the priest, but she whirls towards me with madness in her eyes, her red cloak swirling behind her like a wave of blood. She lunges at me faster than I am ready for, and I barely manage to avoid the blade as her arm comes scything towards me. On her second attack, the weaving edge plunges into my shoulder and I cry out in pain, but somehow I keep hold of the bloodstone totem in my other hand. With one last desperate act, I conjure Corvan's power and direct it at the crazed priest. There's a bright flash and I am sent reeling backwards. The priest crumples to the floor, dead. A cheer goes up around the circle and I am horrified to see an acolyte run forward and dip the weaving edge in the priest's blood. Oh, so they didn't care what sacrifice, they just needed one. I shudder to see their coldness laid bare. These people do not care who is sacrificed to save their skins, as long as it is not them. The acolyte takes the dripping red blade and plunges it into the casket, and the world goes black. And we got the Bleak Stones achievement for that. The casket has been opened. We fulfilled the sacrament and we were spared, but with the priest dead, the spell has been broken and the congregation has begun to splinter. I was never really one of them, but there are some who look to me for leadership now. They seem to think I am more dangerous than I really am. I shudder to think what will happen when they find out I am not. Okay. So all of our good friends are cursed. Eli, Rona, Martin. Survived the devastation after the casket was opened, but she is a shell of her former self. Okay, so this happened when we opened the casket. Eli's ending too. He fled. She's insane. Good. Killed by her own hand. By my own hand. Jack Hungerford is still cursed. Of course. Sure. That was Holgar's wrath. So now we are going to take a look at what happens if we use Cedric's Thunder instead. Okay, so now we're going to use Saint Cedric's Thunder. I bring out the small wooden box as the priest lunges towards me. There is no time to think, so I rip open the lid and let loose the power contained within. An almighty thunderclap erupts from the box in my hands, and a flash of bright white blinds me for a moment. When I recover, I see devastation before me. Thin white smoke and the smell of ozone fill the air. The kingstone is cracked in two, and a twisted body lays on the ground nearby. But to my horror, the priest is unharmed, standing next to the wreckage of the kingstone and her fallen acolyte. She whirls towards me with madness in her eyes, her red cloak swirling behind her like a wave of blood. I try to run, but strong arms grab me from behind and I am unable to move. Great Holgar, whose rage is endless, we offer you this blood of the sacrament to prove our devotion to you. Protect us from what is to come. The last thing I see in this world is the priest's exultant face, eyes wide behind the horned skull mask as she brings the knife sweeping down and plunging straight into my heart. The casket has been opened. The priest performed the sacrament with the blood of the sacrifice, and her congregation was spared. But they soon learned that Holgar's bloodlust was never sated, and he cared little for them. It is only a matter of time before they turn on their leader. My part in this story, such as it was, is over. In the end, I was led astray by the promises of a dangerous fanatic, and I have paid the price. Friends are all cursed. Clinging to power in a bleak new world for now. Fled. Shell of her former self. Cursed. So that is ending number 3, Divine Retribution. Fatal error has been made. Death and darkness cover the land. Those were Audrey's endings. Let me know your thoughts on these ones in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.